Okay, what I've got here is my QGIS window. I've completed the first part of project 2 where I've illustrated the California counties with an income greater than 16,000. Now I'm going to move on to the second part of that exercise where I show you how to display the counties that have either a park or a forest. Okay, so I start by adding another copy of the the projected California counties shapefile, and you can see that displayed on the screen here. I also have my recreation table, which is over here in the layers panel. So what I'm going to do is open that up and start here. So nothing is selected here. What I'm interested in is the features in this type column that are either a park or a forest. And I want to select those out and put them into a new table. Okay, so the way I am going to do this is I'm going to use the select by expression button, and I'm going to set up my expression type equals, and then I'm going to load the unique values here. Park. Now, if you don't have, I know you might be working on a Mac, so if you don't see, if things don't look exactly like I have them here, you can always just type this in. Be sure that you type the field name, which is called type here, enclose it in double quotes, equal sign, and then the actual item that you're interested in this case park, enclosed in single quotes. Okay, I say select. I'm going to close this, and I see here, if I look at the top line of the attribute table window, it says I have 206 total features, which means 206 rows, and that I have selected 37, of which you can see a couple here at the bottom of the screen. So this is good. I'm going to close the table at this point, and I'm going to right click on the rec layer in the layers panel, and I'm going to choose save as. I'm going to make sure that the format is Esri shapefile on the top line, hit the browse button, and I'm going to save this into a demo folder. I'm going to just call it parks, and I'm going to make sure, this is important, save only the selected features. I'm going to uncheck this box that says add saved file to map, and that's the only reason for doing this is it avoids an error message that may be confusing. It doesn't, you can leave it checked if you want and just dismiss the error message, but I'm unchecking it here. For geometry, I'm choosing no geometry because I'm just going to save this out as a table, and I'm saying null here. We did this earlier in this exercise. So after that, null, no geometry, save only selected features, give it a name, and actually you won't see this .shp, but I admit that this is kind of confusing in the program, but it's the way that it works these days. Say OK. Now I'm going to go to my browser panel, and if I look in that demo folder, I see that I have a parks DBF. I'm going to add that to the map. Go back to my layers panel, and I can see that the parks, let's open this attribute table. So there's 37 rows in this table, 37 features, and they all say park under the type. Okay, I'm going to close this, go back to my rec table, I'll open it up again. I'm going to clear the selection by saying deselect all, and I'm going to do another select by expression. Okay, and this time I'm going to select out the forests. Type equals, whoops, sorry, only one equal sign there. Load all unique. Forest. Again, I could have typed this in just with the keyboard, but I chose to use the clicking on the dialogues. Say select and close. And I can see here now that out of 206 rows in this attribute table, I've selected 20 that have forests. And you can see 2 examples there. Okay. I close this. Right click on the rect table in the layers panel. Choose Save As. Click the Browse button. I'm in the demo. I'm going to call this table Forests. I'm going to save only the selected features. Scroll down. Choose No Geometry because we're just interested in the table. This last one, null. That means that the shapefile will not be created. And I'm going to uncheck this Save, Add Saved File to Map. Say OK. Go back to my browser panel. There's the forest table. Add it to the map. Go back to my layers panel. And I see I have parks and forests now. Okay, so now I'm going to go down to my California counties and open up the properties. Go down to joins, and I'm going to do 2 joins here. First of all, before I do this, I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to open up the attribute table. Okay, so you can see the attributes that are currently present, including this last one. I'll stretch it out a little bit. It's called CNTY_name, county name. And this is going to be actually end up being our join field. Okay, so this is the attribute table for the shapefile. So go to the layer properties, and I'm going to add a join. And my join is going to be first with the parks table. I'm going to use the county name as the join field. The target field in the shapefile is going to also be county name, and the prefix for these columns in the attribute table is going to be parks_. You can see that here. You could change that to something else if you want, but I'm going to leave it at parks. So I'm going to say OK with that. That's good. Now I'm going to add a second join, which is something we haven't done yet in lab. And this time I'm going to choose the forest table. And again, I'm going to choose county name, and the target field is also going to be county name. And say OK. So now I have two joins here, parks and forests. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to open up the attribute table again, and I see if I scroll over to the right that I have added. Let's see if I can stretch this out a little bit. I have a parks field. The parks. These are the columns that came from the original parks.dbf, and we can see only where it only says parks in the parks.type column. And if we go back over, this is the forests table that it's been joined on, and wherever there's a forest, it says forest, and otherwise it has null values all the way through. Okay. So now, what I have is a county shapefile with a forest table joined on and a parks table joined on. Okay, I'm going to close the attribute table. Go to my California counties again, open up the properties, go to the Style tab, and I'm going to choose Rule Based, and I'm going to add a rule, and I'm going to call this, label this Park or Forest. And I'm going to click on the little ellipse to set up the filter for this, and I'm going to fields and values, and so I'm going to say where the parks type equals load unique park, and then I'm going to type the word or, and then I'm going to enter, say where the second part of this is where the forest type equals, choose unique forests, So I see my statement here is parks type equals park or forest type equals forest. So the condition that we wanted to set up with was I want to show the counties that have either a park or a forest, which means they could have a park, they could have a forest, or they could have both. Say OK there. Green is a nice color. Say OK. And now click OK. And I see that I have the 34 counties highlighted in green that have either a park or a forest. And so I hope this will give you an idea of something that you can replicate on your own machine for this lab exercise.